Officer, you look familiar. Haven't I seen you before?
Yes, I think so. I am the informer. How may I help you?
This is my home. However, the bank just served me a notice that they are going to foreclose on the property. What can I do?
When you purchased your home, the bank did not loan you anything of consideration, nor did they give you full disclosure, and as such the contract you have with the bank is invalid. You should also know that the bank is not permitted to loan any of its own assets based on its charter.
So if the bank didn't loan me anything, then why have I had to pay interest for the last 12 years? Isn't this illegal?
Yes, it isn't, and it is called conversion. You should also know that pursuant to General Accepted Accounting Practices, also known as GAAP, your account was paid the day it was issued at the bank, and that the Bank Act of Canada clearly states that money is not legal tender. The fraud gets worse, however, because it does not happen only with mortgages but also with any bank loan or credit card issued to you. Here is something to think about. When you apply for a credit card, where do you suppose the credit card company got the $2,000 or whatever to give to you?
I thought they loaned it, but from what you're saying, this is a misconception which most people believe. How can I save this home I have worked for the last 12 years, and if in fact the home was paid off, how would I stop the bank from stealing it from me?
You must understand that there are two main types of courts: civil and criminal. The bank has you tied up in a contract which is civil, however your claim against the bank is criminal. Therefore, so the bank cannot hit you with breach of contract, bring the account with them into good standing. Then write them a letter and send it by registered mail. Call this letter a qualified written request, and tell them you want to see both sides of the ledger to reflect the day your account was opened. I can tell you that the bank cannot or will not produce the ledger you requested. You could also start a criminal claim against them with a supporting affidavit. Write a letter of instruction to advise an unrebutted affidavit is deemed true in fact under the law.
If the bank didn't loan me anything, then how is all the interest I paid lawful or legal?
It isn't legal, and this is why you have the grounds to take the bank to task on it. Here is something you should know about the Bank of Canada. Under the Bank of Canada Act, Section 23 entitled Prohibited Business, it states, "The bank shall not, except as authorized by this Act, engage or have a direct interest in any trade or business whatever." Therefore, let me ask you, has the bank ever allegedly loaned money to a business? Like another bank that is under the Bank of Canada, for example? And don't let the idea of the Bank of Canada loaning money to other chartered banks fool you, because Section 32B prohibits this, and it states, B. Purchase or make loans on the security of its own shares or the shares of any bank, except the Bank for International Settlements.
Who is this Bank for International Settlements?
The Bank for International Settlements is in part who use your birth certificate as a security, either directly or indirectly.
Well, isn't the bank limited to a certain percent of what they can charge me as interest?
Yes, they can charge you up to 60%, but seeing as the bill, so to speak, was paid the day it was issued, what is 60% of zero? And as such, wouldn't any interest be illegal, as the bank was never at risk in the first place?
Let me ask you, why was the bank never at risk?
Because most home loans are CMHC insured, which stands for Canadian Mortgage and Housing Company, which is in fact a federal insurance company owned by the Government of Canada. The bank at the time of your mortgage also probably insisted on you having homeowner insurance. In fact, many loans become invalid if your insurance lapses. Therefore, the bank had two forms of insurance on top of the underwriter insurance carried by the bank. They likely put a lien on your property so they could repossess it if you didn't make your payments.
But if the bill was paid when it was issued, then the whole contract is fraud. Correct?
Yes, that is correct. They actually accessed your birth account set up when you were born and used bonds floated on the stock market to make a profit by using your signature as collateral for the account. You can ask the bank anything you feel is able to uncover more of the fraud. Do this through an affidavit and tell them they need to rebut it, or it will be accepted by tacit consent as the truth in fact and be used against them in court.
Is there anything else I should know about the Bank of Canada Act?
Under Prohibited Acts Section C, the bank is not permitted to lend or make advances on the security of any real property or immovable, except that, in the event of any claims of the bank being in the opinion of the board endangered, The bank may secure itself on any real property, or obtain security on any immovable, of the debtor or any other person liable, and may acquire that property, which shall be resold as practicable after the acquisition.
If the bank is not permitted to lend or make advances on the security of any real property, then how did it loan me any money based on my signature or loan agreement? Wouldn't that be illegal or in violation of the Bank Act?
Yes. And if we review Prohibited Acts Section D of the Bank Act, which states, it is not allowed to make loans or advances without security. Therefore, how was it lawful for the bank to allegedly loan you money based on something which you did not currently own? After all, you didn't really own the house yet at the time of the loan contract, yet the bank listed it as collateral against the loan. Does that sound legal to you? Something else you should be aware of is under Prohibited Acts Section E. It states that the bank is not to pay interest on any money deposited with the bank. Therefore, how do you get interest in a savings account or a registered savings bond with the bank?
Through some sort of investment on the stock exchange?
Exactly. The bank uses your bond account set up at birth, and didn't disclose that to you. Don't try to access this account yourself, however, as you are not the registering agent for that account, or that legal entity, even though it bears your name and registration number. In fact, the Vital Statistics Office is under the direction of the Government of Canada or the government of your province or territory.
Are banknotes even backed by anything or legal tender?
They used to be backed by gold or silver up to June 23, 1936, but now they are not backed by anything. They are digits on a computer. Section 5 of the Bank of Canada Act confirms this and states, notwithstanding anything contained in this section, each note of the bank printed before June 23, 1936, whether issued before, on or after that date, is a valid and binding obligation of the bank. So let me ask you, why then does Section 6 of the Bank of Canada go on to say, notes of the bank are neither promissory notes nor bills of exchange within the meaning of the Bills of Exchange Act. Therefore, seeing as the Bank of Canada issues all of the currency notes in Canada, nothing about currency after 1936 is legal tender. Let me ask you another question. If anything that is built or manufactured and is paid for in full, then you own it, what is known as fee simple and absolute. Look that up in Black's Law 4th edition if you want to. Then how is it we have inflation as everything made is already paid for?
I don't know, can you help me here?
The truth is, inflation is a way to control the money supply and make money. Let me explain the banking cycle for you. If the bank makes loans easy to get for a while, and everyone starts to purchase things such as homes, for example, then the Bank of Canada raises the interest rates and makes loans hard to get. All other banks are legally obligated to follow the central bank. Then if people cannot make the loan payments, which we now know are fraud, the bank takes your home and resells it for more than you owe. Or the bank will hang on to it until the banks make money easy to get again and the cycle starts over, with the next sucker.
None of this sounds ethical or legal.
It isn't ethical or legal. However, who knew? What is worse is banks or people on the inside sell mortgages that they know people cannot afford to pay, and bets are made that a mortgage would go into foreclosure. If this happens, the betting people who bet the home goes into foreclosure get rich. Others will bet the home will not go into foreclosure and they win other bets. The whole thing is a scam. The money that was invested as part of your loan contract is in fact yours because you are the creditor in all transactions, because it was your signature that created the value.
Would I not be the creditor in all transactions, and not just those of the bank, if my signature was used?
Yes, and in fact you are the creditor to the corporation known as Canada, and your birth certificate is evidence of that fact. The unidentified number on there is used by the Treasury Department on the stock exchange to make money. If you review the Security Exchange Commission postings and look up Canada, you will see they list taxes and whatnot as a way to support the corporation. You can also review bank postings to see the insane profits made by the bank. Those profits are also a result of customers' signatures and must be reported to the government under the Bank of Canada Act. Anytime you register your property, it is listed as a public asset, to which the government has control. Therefore, when the bank lists a lien against your home, as in this case, they then go to the district court where it is registered, because it's now taxable and ask the government to hand it to them. The government is part of the scam.
Thanks for your help.